ॐ नमो नारायणाय ॐ नमो नारायणाय
Asmat Guru Namaha, Asmat Parama Guru Namaha, Asmat Sarva Guru Namaha. So today we're going to discuss about Gaudiya Vaishnava, Bhuta Shuddhi according to Hari Bhakti Vilas. The Bhuta Shuddhi is the purification of the body. It's one type of purification of the body. It's a meditation on purifying the body, different elements in the body, which is done before japa, before puja, before homa, before different Vaishnava ritual activities. So it's done differently by different people. In Hari Bhakti Vilas, we're going to cover that. It's covered in the 5th Vilas, verses 63 to 69. And we've taken the liberty of going into the details of it from the Digdarshani Tika of Sanatana Goswami. So if you look, this particular Bhuta Shuddhi is very common. It's a common North Central Indian Bhuta Shuddhi. There are, of course, other types of Bhuta Shuddhi which other Vaishnavas and other Hindus follow. Okay, so the very first thing is that we cover here is a particular a mudra which is shown in front of the heart. Okay, so this mudra is called Kara Kachapika or Pani Kachapika. Pani means hand. So Kara also means hand. It can also mean sign. It is either the sign of the turtle or the method of making your hands look like a turtle, right? So Kachapika. So the two thumbs are together and the four fingers are held, in different ways, but the two thumbs are together like that and you hold it over your heart. Okay, so that's Kacha. And the diagram here I've taken from a book called Conversation. I think it's called Conversation with God. Communication with God, Communication with God, which is an in-depth study of the worship of Jagannath in the Puri temple in Orissa. Okay, so it's we can take, because in some different books there are slightly different versions of mudras. Now in Hari Bhakti Vilas there's quite a lot of mudras which are mentioned, but the descriptions of them are there, but the descriptions are also a little difficult to understand. And the problem is that nowadays most Gaudiya Vaishnavas don't use them, so it's sort of difficult to find out exactly how to do those mudras. But we can try anyway. So I just thought to take this. So this is a Kara Kachapika mudra from the Communication with God, that book, and which is generally it's got Gaudiya Vaishnava worship in it. Although the worship in the Jagannath Puri temple of Jagannath isn't exactly Gaudiya Vaishnava worship, it's Smarta worship, which has some elements of Gaudiya Vaishnava worship in it, or Vaishnava worship in it. Okay, so anyway, we'll take that as being as the best that we can do for now for finding out what for that mudra is. Okay, so with that mudra in front, then it says chant. Now, when it says chant, we don't know if that's mentally or out loud or murmuring. There are 3 types of chanting, which we've already discussed. That there's a mental manasika, vachika, out loud, and upamamsu, which is usually called japa, which is whispering. So there's out loud in the mind, but also one in between, which is just whispering so that other people can't hear you around you, but your lips and tongue make the sounds from the letters. Okay, so he's saying that you should say this word soham. Yeah, I believe that we discussed this. Yeah. Soham. Soham is the first part of a mantra, which is called ajapa japa. So it's soham hamsaha is the full mantra, which is found in some agamic texts, some tantric texts. It's not really a Vedic mantra that I know of, but it's supposed to be the sound of the ingoing and outgoing breath that we breathe every day. So okay, so only the first part is soham. Now the word so is saha in Sanskrit. Saha means him, right? So aham means I. There's no verb here. It's just a very simple Sanskrit sentence, and it's saying I am I've translated it as I am like unto him. I am like him, right? Because we want to meditate that we are like the Supreme, right? This is called by Smartas sometimes Ahangropasana. Ahangropasana means the Smartas consider the soul or the Jivatman to be equal to the Paramatman, right? To be equal. When they look inside the heart in their meditation, they only see one thing and they think they see the Paramatman, the super soul, and they think that it's equal to the soul. So they have this misconception that the soul is actually the super soul, or they understand that everything is actually the Supreme, actually is one with Brahman, and this is Adi Shankara's Advaita philosophy. Okay, so when they sit down and before they perform ritual worship, external ritual worship, they meditate upon themselves being God. But that's not what we're doing here. We're saying, Soham, Vaishnavas don't believe that we are God. We believe that we are like God in some aspects. What are those aspects? So those aspects are, we are also spiritual beings, right? So we are also an energy of God. So the energy of God and God are same or similar in some aspects, right? Okay. So when we say this, when we make this mudra and we say Soham, right? We chant Soham, we're meditating that I am like unto him. I am like him. I'm like God. So one should meditate on one's individual Atman and the Paramatman situated in the lotus of the heart. Now the heart, anybody who's ever studied anatomy, the human heart doesn't exactly look like the picture of a heart that we usually draw if we're drawing a picture of a heart, a symbol of a heart, or an emoji of a heart, let's say. So the human heart actually looks sort of like that, but it's described in the Upanishads as being like a lotus. And if we take a lotus flower, which is opened up, when in the sun, and we close up the petals, when you go to buy lotuses in a shop in India, they will sprinkle water on the lotuses so they don't dry out when they show them, and they'll keep them closed up, and then they'll open them up, they'll peel the petals back and show you how nice the lotus looks. But then when you want to take them home, you want to take them to the temple and offer them to the deity, they'll close the petals up again and wrap it in a piece of paper or something like that, or put it in a bag. And that's how you transfer it. So a closed lotus, inverted, an upside down closed lotus is what the human heart looks like. So in the scriptures, it's described that the lotus of the heart. Sometimes we see pictures and diagrams that people meditate. There's a little picture inside their heart, and there's a lotus flower, and there's a deity sitting on the heart of Vishnu or something like that. Okay, that's a nice picture. That's a nice idea, and that's the idea is that there's some lotus in the heart. Now, also, if we go into tantric literature, we see that there are different chakras in the body. Right, these are energy centers in the body, and we can't see these things. These are very subtle. But the idea is that the spine in your back has certain energy running up and down it, and there are different pathways in the spine: the Ida, the Pingala, and the Shushumna. These are called nadis. We can loosely translate them as nerves. And there are these 72,000 nadis in the body, or something like this. This is all contained in Ayurveda, also in tantric texts and things like that.
I have a question.
Yes.
That. For example, the Pancharatra, the origin is the Lord himself, no? The Lord told in 5 nights to Brahma.
Yeah, that's one explanation. But the Samhitas are written. There are Samhitas which are spoken directly by the Lord. There are Samhitas which are spoken by Devatas, like Shesha and Shesha Samhitas spoken by Shesha. Right? There's other ones that are written that are spoken by rishis. So you've got human beings or rishis, great human beings, rishis, devatas, right? Some people say called demigods, and then the Lord himself, who has spoken different Pancharatra Samhitas.
Okay, but my question was that we can worship the Lord with Vedic mantras, with Pancharatra, and also with Tantra. But what is the origin of the source of the tantric scriptures?
I just said there are 3. Okay, Pancharatra Agama. The word Agama means also the same as Tantra. But the problem in normal speech, if you go to India, you talk to people, or if you go to a bookshop and you ask them for a book on Tantra, they'll probably give you a book on Shakti worship, the worship of goddess, right? So Tantra has become synonymous with Shakti worship. Samhita, the Pancharatras will be called Samhitas, and the Tantras will deal with, but there's really no difference between Tantras and Samhitas in the sense of Pancharatra agamas. Okay, so sometimes today we talk about certain, agamas, different types of agamas. Now, in South India, you have Vaishnava agamas, you have Shaiva agamas, you have Shakta agamas, and you even have Buddhist and Jain agamas. Okay, so we'll leave aside the Buddhist and Jain agamas because Buddhists are not Hindus, and Jains are almost not Hindus. They don't believe in the Vedas in some ways. So let's talk about the people who believe in the Vedas, right? Who are Vedantins. They also accept certain agamas. So Shankaracharya actually rejects the Pancharatra. He rejects the agamas. So there are some books, Agama Pramanya by Yamunacharya, and then Pancharatra Raksha by Vedanta Deshika, which show that the Pancharatra agamas, the agamas are also considered bona fide books. Now, they're not Shruti, right? So anybody that understands the difference between different levels of scripture, the greatest pramana, or the greatest proof, comes when we need proof from scripture or authority. What is the greatest authority? The greatest authority is the Vedas, according to most Hindus, right? But there are some Hindus who will not accept any other, they won't accept any other proof. But normally Vaishnavas, we accept other types of proof if they don't contradict the Vedas. If they don't contradict the Vedas or the Upanishads, the philosophical section of the Vedas is mostly in the Upanishads. There are at least 108, there may be more bona fide Upanishads, but at least in one of the Upanishads, it lists 108, which are considered and then out of them, there may be 8 to 10 or 11, which are considered the main ones. So if a book is written that supplements, that gives some extra explanation to the Vedas and doesn't contradict the Vedas, then it can also be accepted as scripture. So there are different levels of those, right? So you have Shruti as the ultimate scripture, then Smriti. So Smriti is also divided up into different categories. And then after Smriti, then you have what we call Swatantra works. So if there are commentaries, or if there are independent works, which are when I say Swatantra, I mean independent, when there are independent works written by scholars or Acharya scholars, all the Acharyas are also scholars. Different Acharyas, they might write a book. For instance, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is a book by Rupa Goswami. It's a book. It's not a commentary on any book. It's a book that he wrote. It's an independent book. It's not like Ishopanishad. Ishopanishad is an Upanishad. It's Shruti. So there's different levels like this. So usually you have the Shruti at the top, then the Smriti. Smriti can be the Puranas, the Manusmriti, different texts like that. And they all have different levels of they're considered different levels, right? But none of them should contradict the basic statements in the Shruti. Okay, so where do the Tantras come from? Okay, the word agama itself, in the definition of the word agama, we get where the literature comes from. It is said that the word agama means that which was spoken by Shiva about Vishnu to Devi. Right? So not all agamas and pancharatras are like that, but there are many agamas where some devata like Shiva, or there could be some other devata, is speaking to Parvati and explaining about Lord Vishnu. Now, in Vaishnava agamas, there are 2 agamas. Shaiva agamas, there are more than 2, but in Vaishnava agamas, we have 2 different agamas. There's the Vaikanasa agama and the Pancharatra agama. So there are other books and things like that. If you want to know more about the Pancharatra, there's a very nice book called Agamas in South Indian Vaishnavism by Dr. V. Varadacharya of the French Institute of Indology in Pondicherry. Very nice man. And he wrote a very in-depth book about the Agamas, not just Agamas and South Indian Vaishnavism. So it concentrates on Vaikhanasa and Pancharatra Agamas. Then if you want to get into, if you forget about the Vaikhanasa and get into the Pancharatra, what is the difference? Normally, most Vaishnavas follow the Pancharatra. And the reason for that is because the Vaikhanasa is supposed to be passed down in a father to son system, seminal succession. So it means that you and I can't become, nobody can become a Vaikhanasan. You have to be born in a family of Vaikhanasans. And some people call them Garba Vaishnavas, because already in the womb they're considered to be initiated.
Wow.
During the Pungsavana ceremony, Pungsavana and Simantanayanam Samskara of the Vaikhanasins, they make some sweet rice or some kheer or some payasam, and they infuse that payasam with the mantras of Sudarshana and Panchajanya.
Wow.
The Shankha and Chakra of Vishnu, and the lady who's pregnant drinks that, and it's considered that the baby is initiated. So when the baby is born, he's already initiated. So there's no need for him to be initiated. So they're Garba Vaishnavas. They have a slightly different philosophy than they're considered by some people to be a section of the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya of Ramanuja, but in fact they have much less regard for the Alwars, and they have more regard, and Ramanuja, and they have more regard for Vaikhanasa Muni, who is the starter of their system, right? Mm-hmm. And so they instead of Vishishtadvaita Vedanta, they call themselves Lakshmi Vishishtadvaita. So anyway, to go into Vaikhanasa is a whole other thing. We are interested more in Pancharatra. So Pancharatra is open to everybody. Anybody can practice Pancharatra. So all of the different main Vaishnava Sampradayas, whether we have Ramanuja, Madhva, Gaudiya, Nimbarka, Vallabha, Ramanand, Swaminarayan, whatever it is, all these different Vaishnava groups, they practice a type of Pancharatric worship, a worship which is derived from the Pancharatra. The Sri Vaishnavas take directly from the Pancharatras. They use directly the Pancharatras like the Padma Samhita, the Ishvara Samhita, the Jayaka Samhita, the Sattva Samhita. These are famous Samhitas. There are three very famous, Sattva, Jayaka, and I just said it, Ishvara, okay? These are called the Ratnatrayi, the three gems of the Pancharatra. And they have three commentaries on them, the Paushkara, the Padma, and the Parameshwara. The three other Samhitas which act as commentaries on. They are, these 3 or 6 Samhitas, 2 each, right? The main text and the commentary on it are used in the worship of temples in Srirangam, Kanchipuram, and Melkote, Tirunarayapuram in Karnataka. So 2 places in Tamil Nadu and 1 in Karnataka. The 4th place, which is an important place for Sri Vaishnavas, is the Tirupati. Tirupati is a Vaikhanasa temple. When Ramanuja went on his Digvijay around India, he went to different places around India. He also, apart from convincing people of his understanding of Vedanta, the Vishishtadvaita Vedanta, he also was very interested in changing the worship of temples that were following the older system of Vaikhanasa to Pancharatra. There are some places where he did not do that. Tirupati was one of them. Tirupati, he left it as Vaikhanasa Agama. In some other places, there are Vaikhanasa Agama temples like that. In Puri also, there's a story, if you read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a story, he wanted to change that from Smarta worship. The system in Puri temple is a system which was established by Adi Shankaracharya, so it's a Smarta system. The Smarta system of worship is usually called Panchayatana or Panchopachara. Not Panchopachara. Panchayatana or Panchupasana. Panchupasana, Pancha Upasana. Upasana means puja, worship. Pancha Upasana, the worship of 5 forms of Brahman. The Smartas believe that there are 5 main forms. So it's either called Panchayata Puja or Panchopasana Puja. And in South India, sometimes in Tamil Nadu, they call it Sanmata or Satmata, which means that they they actually worship 6. So those 5 aspects of Brahman that the Smartas worship is they worship Vishnu, they worship Surya, so who Vaishnavas believe is also Narayana, so also Vishnu, right? Then Shiva, then Devi, right, and Ganesha. These are the 5 that are worshipped by Smartas in the Panchayata system. Prabhupada mentions it in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but it's a Smarta system. Then in South India and Tamil Nadu especially, they have a love for worshipping Murugan, who is the other brother of Ganesh, who's the other son of Shiva and Parvati. So they worship also Kartikeya or Subramanya, and he makes up the 6th one. So some people worship 6, but the traditional system of Smartas is they worship 5. They set the deities out in a square pattern with 4 deities in the corners, and the main deity was their Ista Devata that they love the most, or their favorite deity for their family, the Kula Devata, in the middle. And there's a special system of how to do it, and it involves the worship of all those 5. That is Smarta Puja. So, especially not in some places there was Vaikanasa worship, which is also a Vaishnava Agama. So Ramanuja left it alone. In Sri Rangam, it was Vaikanasa Agama, and then it was changed by Ramanuja to Pancharatra Agama. But in Puri, it was Smarta, and therefore Ramanuja wanted to change it, but the people didn't agree. Some people say Jagannath didn't agree, so people also didn't agree. And so it stays, it's Smarta to this day. Okay, so they're the systems. So in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, there are some temples that follow Vaikanasa and some follow Pancharatra. But in the houses of people who are Sri Vaishnavas, they follow a type of Pancharatric worship. So Madhva's also. So Ramanuja himself wrote 9 books, one of which was a Puja Padati. It was called the Nitya. Nitya means what we do every day. You know, Nitya, the word Nitya means eternal, but it also can mean daily. So there are different types of activities, Nitya, Naimitika, and Kamya. Kamya means if I have a desire. Kama means a desire. If I have a desire to do something, like a Kama Putra Kamesti Yaga, like King Janaka, he wanted, King Dasaratha, he wanted a son, so he performed a sacrifice to get a son. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's called Putra Kamesti. That's a Kamya yoga. That's if you have a desire to do something, there's a specific ritual that you can do. It's a Kamya ritual. So then you have the Naimitika rituals, which are occasional rituals. You know, if you have to do a prayaschitta because there was a hurricane which destroyed a temple and you have to fix the temple, or if you have to, you know, or there's a festival which occurs on a particular day. It's not every day. And Nitya means every day, daily. Some people will say that the Ekadasi Vratam or things that happen on scheduled days in the year can also be called Nitya, but mostly people say Nitya means daily. So Ramanuja wrote a book called the Nitya Grantha. Grantha just means book, right? It also means not. But anyway, so the Nitya Grantha was written by Ramanuja about the daily practices, and it's taken, the aspects of it are taken from the Pancharatra Samhitas, right? But some Sri Vaishnavas in the temples, they use directly the Pancharatra Samhitas. Of course, the Samhitas are written. They're not written in a prayoga form. They have to be made into a procedure. So you'll find books based on, for instance, Padma Samhita is a Samhita. You can't use it directly as a procedure. So the procedure from Padma Samhita is called Padma Prayoga. Prayoga means the procedure, or Padma, or Pratishta Prayoga. You know, it's done according to Padma Samhita. You'll see in the beginning it says Padma Samhitayam Anusarena. It means following Padma Samhita, following the directions of the Padma Samhita, we've done this. So for instance, you might read in the Padma Samhita is all in classical Sanskrit. You might read in there, it might say that you have to use the Purusha Sukta, but it's not going to quote the whole Purusha Sukta. It's just going to say, chant the Purusha Sukta at this time, or chant this mantra at this time, if it's a Vedic mantra. In the Vaikanasa system, there's more Vedic mantras. In the Pancharatric system, there's a mixture of Vedic and Tantric or Agamic mantras or classical Sanskrit mantras. In the Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, 27th chapter, which is by Lord Krishna, explains the process of deity worship or Vaishnava ritualism, how he should be worshipped by Vaishnavas. Lord Krishna says that there are 3 ways to worship him. You can worship me by Vedic way. So we would consider that probably like Shrauta worship or Vaikanasa worship. Tantric way. Tantric means agamic. Pancharatra agama means mixed, right? Pancharatric way and mixed. Mixed means there's a mixture of Vedic and Tantric. So the Pancharatra actually has a mixture of Vedic and Tantric mantras. Okay. So, but the Tantric mantras that come in the Samhitas and things like that, they're also considered to be acceptable. They don't go against these things are just mantras and they don't go against the Vedas. So we can accept them. So the Tantras and the Agamas are particular. There's another book which you can have a look at by a Western scholar called H. Daniel Smith. He's a professor who was very interested in Pancharatra. He wrote a descriptive bibliography of the printed texts of the Pancharatra Agama. So some Pancharatras are still in manuscript form and they've never been printed. So, but the ones that have been printed, he made a list of them and he gave a summary study of each one in English, right, in a book. And I can give you the link to download that book and you can read about all the different Pancharatra Samhitas, what are the different subject matters. Now, normally in the Pancharatra Samhitas, as within the Samhitas of the Vaikanasa Agama and also the Shaiva Agamas and some other Agamas, even the Shakta Agamas, the subject matter is divided up into 4. In these Samhitas. The first subject matter is called Jnana. Jnana means knowledge of reality. What is reality? Describe reality, right? So Jnana, yoga. Yoga is talking about mystic yoga. It means all to do with the chakras in the body and meditation on the universe and the chakras in the body and this sort of thing. This is usually people will say Kundalini yoga or something like that. So that is there. And so Jnana Yoga, Kriya and Charya. Normally, the people when we're discussing things, we're discussing more practical Pancharatra. The practical Pancharatra, unless you're a yogi, is the 2 last sections, Kriya and Charya. Kriya means the activities of making deities, establishing deities, doing prana pratishtha, building temples, opening temples. And then Charya means the daily and occasional festivals and pujas that go on in the temples. So those are the different aspects of the Pancharatra Samhita, right? Okay, so does that answer the question? There are many Pancharatra.
Yes. Very, very clear now.
Now, as I said, let me just get back to this. As I said, Ramanuja made a small book for his followers from the Pancharatras, for them to follow, Nitya Grantha. And there are some other acharyas in the Ramanuja Sampradaya and different mats have made slightly different padatis. Just like we have different padatis here, we have the Achata Padati, we have the Pancharatra Pradipa, we have maybe some other padati or whatever it is. So these people are making different padatis, right? They're all based on some Shastra, right? They're independent works, but they're based on the Shastra. Okay, so now Madhva also made one. Madhva made one about Janmastami, about how to calculate Janmastami. He made another one about the ritualism that Madhvas follow. In Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Hari Bhakti Vilas. In Nimbarkas, we have Keshava Kashmiri made Kramadipika. Okay, so each one of these acharyas, different acharyas, has made a book on the ritualism for their particular sampradaya, and they've taken things from the Pancharatra Agama mostly. Sometimes they've simplified it. Here we find, okay, we have the Buddha Shuddhi. To get back to the Buddha Shuddhi, we're doing the Buddha Shuddhi according to the way it's mentioned in Hari Bhakti Vilas. Hari Bhakti Vilas, the authors of Hari Bhakti Vilas, Gopal Bhatta and Sanatana Goswami, have taken it from somewhere else. And so if we look in other Hindu prayogas, other Vaishnava prayogas and Hindu prayogas in North India, we'll also find a very similar, if not exactly the same, Buddha Shuddhi. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So I think I was talking about the meditating upon the Paramatman sitting in the lotus of the heart, and the Atman is also there, right? And sometimes when we think about the different chakras, the different energy centers in the body, there are these nerves that run up and down the spine called the Idas. They're called nadis. Let's say they're energy flows that go up and down, and they start at the base of the spine and they cross over. Like the Ida and the Pingala are on the left and the right side, and they cross over. They start off on the left and right side, but then they cross over and they're on the other side. The Sushumna goes right up, straight up the back, and it crosses. So where all three of them meet, that's a chakra. That's an energy center. So the heart chakra is a certain energy center, right? So each one of these, each of these chakras or energy centers are thought to be like different lotuses, open lotuses. And on each one of the petals of the lotuses, we meditate upon a different bija mantra. A bija mantra means a seed mantra, which is just a single syllable from the Sanskrit alphabet. The Sanskrit alphabet has about 50 letters in it. And so there are 50 of these petals on the different lotuses that run from the Muladhara chakra, which is the bottom one, to the Sahasrara chakra at the top, right? So each one of them has a certain number of petals and a certain bija mantras that vibrate in that particular place. So this is all part of yoga, mystic yoga, but it's dealt with in Pancharatra a little bit. It's dealt with in the Agamas a little bit, these things. Okay, so we also see in Hari Bhakti Vilas a lot of the Matrika Nyasa, where they use all of the different bija mantras from the Sanskrit alphabet and touch different parts of the body and deposit them to purify the body in certain ways. So here, what we're doing is, first of all, he's saying, meditate upon one's Atman and the Paramatman. So we're meditating on the Atman and the Paramatman situated in the lotus of one's heart. The lotus of one's heart means that we should meditate on there's a heart chakra, there's a lotus, right? And then the Paramatma and the Atman are there. Paramatma, of course, is big, and the Atman is very small. We know the Atman is insignificant. The Paramatma, when I say insignificant, it means that's why sometimes when people who can meditate and see the Paramatma, they don't see the Atma because the Atma is so insignificant. Whereas the Paramatma is described in the Rig Veda, right? Dasangulam. The Lord enters into the heart of every living being in a form which is not bigger than 10 fingers, right? So if we do this, if we take 4 fingers, wow, the width of 4 fingers, another 4 fingers, and another 2 fingers on top, that is the span of the hand. That is called a ratni, I think. Anyway, or a hasta, or whatever it is. Hasta is long. This is anyway, it's a span, right? So this is 10 fingers. So the word das angulam, angula means anguli is a finger. So angula is the width of a finger. It's a measurement. So in a form which is not bigger than 10 fingers width, the Lord entered. This is stated in the Rig Veda. Everybody knows it. So it's the very first verse of Purusha Sukta, right? Okay, so we meditate upon the Paramatman there in the heart chakra, right? And the Atman, the Atman's insignificant. That's us. So now, then we should meditate that the Lord, right, and the soul, right, the Atman and the Paramatma are traveling from the heart chakra upwards and out from the top of the head, what we call the Brahmarandram, which is the top of the head. There's a link from the Muladhara to the Sahasrara, so out from the head, because what we're going to do here is we're going to create a pure body to perform worship for the Lord. Buddha Shuddhi is creating a pure body for worshiping the Lord. In order to create a pure body, this is a mental process, meditation. So in order to create that pure body, we have to destroy the bad body that we have, the dirty body, the contaminated body, the unclean body that we cannot touch the Lord with, we cannot worship the Lord with. We have to first of all destroy that through the process of Buddha Shuddhi, which is merging the elements back into themselves in a reverse process of creation. So this is all done mentally. The process of creation starts with subtle and gets to gross. So earth is the last element which is created, whereas akasha, right, pradhana, mind, intelligence, ego, then ether, air, fire, water, earth, right? This is how this is how the creation is done, from subtle to gross, from spiritual to subtle to gross, right? Material elements. We first of all destroy the body with the meditation of meditating that the earth merges into the water into the fire into the air into the ether into the, like this, back to the pradhana, the conglomerate of elements, back to the supreme, back to the Lord. Then it gets recreated. The body gets recreated. And now this time that we do the recreation of the body, the creation of the body should be created pure, in a pure state. So that is the process of Buddha Shuddhi, the mental process of Buddha Shuddhi in a nutshell. And then when we have a pure body, then we can only worship the Lord. We can't worship the Lord if we don't have a pure body. Okay, so it's very important. So we can't chant japa, we can't do homa, we can't do puja, unless we do this Buddha Shuddhi. And this is what Sanatana Goswami and Sanatana Goswami and Gopal Goswami have said. So the idea is to create a pure body by meditation. And so we, in this process of destroying the old material body and recreating a new material body, we don't want to inconvenience the Lord, the Paramatman, or the Atman. So we want to meditate that the Atman, the soul, and the Paramatman, the Supreme Lord, leave the body, so that we can do this renovation of the body, to reinvigorate the body and purify the body, recreate the body. Okay, so one should meditate on keeping the Atman, the soul, right here safely under the shelter of the Paramatman during the processes of destroying, purifying, and reconstituting the elements of one's body. So this next part here is that there are some verses which describe Papa Purusha, the sin which is in inhabiting one's body. So one should meditate on the Papa Purusha, which means sin personified, the personification, the personality of sin, as follows. Mula Jnanam Tata Papam Janmadi Dugadan Chayat Prana Panau Nirujyata Tasya Rupam Vichintayet Mahapataka Panchanam Patakopanga Samshrayam Upapataka Romanam Krishnam Krurati Bhishanam. Okay, so this means restraining one's breathing. One should visualize the personified form of the root of ignorance and sin was the cause of pain, of birth, and so on. Birth, growth, death, disease, old age, etc. He is dark and very frightful, and has the 5 great sins as his limbs, his major limbs, and other sins, minor sins, as his limbs, and sins as his minor limbs, and minor sins as his bodily hairs. So he has hair on his body. So we find here, a Mahapataka. There are considered to be 5 great sins. They're called Mahapatakas. Then there are lesser sins. Then there are very, very minor sins called Upapatakas. Right, Pataka means sins. Right. Okay. So now we have some more Sanskrit. So it's unclear to me exactly whether normally like a dhyana or a meditation mantra. Normally we chant the mantra out loud. We don't have to, though. If you were just meditating upon this thing, the idea is that the Sanskrit gives us an idea of what we should be meditating upon, right? So normally with a normal dhyanam, you just chant the Sanskrit and you meditate upon the meaning of the words, and that's the dhyanam. That's the meditation. So here's some more. These are all in Sloka Mita, in Anusip Sloka.
I have a question.
Sure.
The first part is they say you should perform some mudra, but how longer we shall keep the mudra?
Yeah, it doesn't say. So I would suggest that you're just keeping the mudra. You're chanting Soham, meditating that you have your soul is pure, is an energy, is a pure soul, is a pure energy of the Lord, and you're like the Lord in certain ways, and then meditating, and then whether you keep the mudra after that, I don't know, and then meditate upon the soul and the Paramatma, leaving them and staying in a 1,000-petal lotus above the head somewhere, and the soul is even under the safe shelter of the Paramatma, the Supreme Lord. Yeah, don't know. So Brahma Hatya Shiraskancha Svanasteya Bhujadvayam Surapanam Pridayuktam Guru Talpa Katidvayam Tatsamyogi Padadvandvam Anga Pratyanga Patakam Upapataka Romanam Rakta Smashru Vilochanam Khadga Charma Dharam Papam Angusta Parimanakam Ado Mukam Krishnavarnam Daksha Kukshau Vichintayet. Okay, so one should, in the right side of the belly, visualize sin as a dark person the size of one's thumb. Facing downwards, he's facing downwards, having red eyes and a red beard, wearing a skin, an animal skin, carrying a scimitar, which is a big curved blade, sword, and having the killing of a Brahmin as his head. So his head is considered to be equal to the killing of a Brahmin, which is a Mahapataka, one of those 5 great sins. The stealing of gold as his arms. So his 2 arms are the second of the 5 great sins, stealing gold. The third one is drinking wine as his heart. Now, okay, the word used, there are a couple of words, if you look at Manusmriti and other Smritis about wine and liquor, there's sura and pana. There's a couple of different words in Sanskrit. One of them means very heavy alcohol, and one other one means less alcohol. So I'm not sure here. I think it might have, the word sura probably is used. Surapana, drinking sura. So that's why I translated it as wine. Yeah. So actually, one of the Mahapataka, I think, is very deep intoxication. Okay. So anyway, okay. So the drinking wine as his heart, violating the preceptor's bed as his 2 buttocks. So his backside is equal to the person who has sex with the guru's wife, right? Or a Brahmin's wife, like that. The disciple who does that. Association with persons committing these sins as his feet. So the feet of this Papa Purusha, the sin personified, is the association with persons who do these 5 sins. What are these 5 sins? Again, killing a Brahmin, stealing gold, drinking wine or liquor, drinking liquor, let's say, right? Violating the preceptor's bed. That's 4. Okay. Okay, so maybe the 5th one is associating with people like that. Okay. And then the minor sins as his bodily hairs. So the hairs on his body represent the minor sins. So then performing pranayama, right? We by holding the right nostril closed with the right thumb of the right hand, closed with the thumb of the right hand, one should inhale through the left nostril while chanting mentally the Vayu or wind bija mantra, yum, not yam, but yum 16 times, counting on the segments of the left hand. So we use the segments of the left hand to count 16 times. I would prefer to use, as I said, folding the fingers. So you have 4 fingers that you can, if it's 16, then you could chant 4 times with each finger and go 4, 8, 12, 16, like that. So you could go yum, 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 right? And that's 16. So you are breathing in, inhaling while chanting this. Now the yum is the Vayu Bij, right? So now in some other parts of Haribhakti Vilas, it talks about Soshana Dahana Plavana, right? Which are the systems of drying, burning, and nectarizing. So we dry, burn, and nectarize things, right? That we might use in the worship of the Lord. it's like a Buddha Shuddhi on the thing that we're going to offer to the Lord. So let's say we have I don't know, we have some food, let's say, some bhoga. We have this food which we want to offer to the Lord. Before we offer it to him, we're going to chant the Bija mantra for drying it up and then burning it and then nectarizing, creating it as nectar again, right? Nectarizing it. So we use different Bija mantras for doing it. So Yam Vayave Namaha, Ramagne Namaha, and Vam Amritaya Namaha. Right? Okay, these are the Yam is for drying, Ram is for RAM is for burning, and Vam is Ram is Agni Bij, Yam is the Vayu Bij, Ram is the Agni Bij, and then we have the Soma Bij, the Varuna Bij, which is the god of the waters. So Varuna is nectarizing it, making it into nectar. Like that. Okay, so here we're using the Yam Bij. So the Bija mantra Yam. So the Bija mantra Yam is said 16 times when we're breathing in, like that. Now, of course, as we discussed with other types of pranayam, you can either say it out loud or you can meditate upon those 16 in your head, but you have to count the number of times you chant it either in your head or out loud, right? But with in some way. You have to do it. So if you have a counter or if you use your fingers in some way, or the segments on your fingers. Okay. So then it says, meditate on this smoke-colored drying seed. Smoke-colored means grayish color, right? Grayish, blackish color. Smoke-colored drying seed mantra, the bija, Vayu bija, Yam, as traveling to the navel region. In your body. So you're thinking about the Papa Purusha is over on the right side of your stomach, on your stomach, and then you think about this Yam Bij going down to the navel and drying everything up there. Yeah. Then you close the left nostril. So both nostrils are closed. So you've got the right nostril closed with the thumb, and the left nostril closed with usually with the little finger and the ring finger. Or it could just be with the ring finger, Normally people tuck these two fingers, the index and the middle finger down. So sometimes people use the little finger, some people use the ring finger, some people use both the ring finger and the middle finger. Yeah?
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, whatever it is. Okay. Anyway, so we close both nostrils now that we've breathed in, and that's meditation. The next thing we're going to do with any pranayama, you're breathing in, you're holding, and you're exhaling. Purvaka, Kumbhaka, Rechika. Okay, so close the left nostril with the ring and little fingers of the right hand, right? Chant mentally the Vayu. See, now I put in brackets mentally here. So if you want to do it, if you want to chant out loud, okay, fine. But I put mentally in brackets here. So option. Things in brackets usually with me, when I put something in brackets, it means it's optional, right? But realistically, if you're going to actually breathe, do the breathing, you're going to do it in your mind. But if you're just running through the Buddha Shuddhi in order to get to the rest of the puja and you have to do it quite quickly, then maybe you're not breathing, maybe you're just saying the mantra quickly and doing it. So many people do that. So chant mentally the Vayu wind Bij. Again, it's Yam 64 times, counting on the segments of the left hand. That's Kumbhaka, holding it inside 64 times. Meditate on drying up the Papa Purusha. So you've got this smoky Bij mantra, Yam, in your navel area, drying up the Papa Purusha who's in the is it the left side of your belly? Left side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the left side. Anyway, he's down there somewhere. Anyway, the idea is you're drying him up. Let's see. Okay. 64 times. Right. Okay. Meditate on drying up the Papa Purusha and one's whole body also, right? By the potency of the Yam Bij, the Vayu or wind Bij. Right. So that's the Kumbhaka, 64 times. So how do we do 64 times? We're going to do we could do if 1, 2, 3, 4 is 16, right? Then we could do it up as well, and then down again, and then up again. So we could go yum 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 yum, right? Okay, like that. Now, in the beginning, when you're first starting to learn this Buddha Shuddhi, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to start with instead of 16, 64, and 32, you're going to use 1, 4, 2. Then you're going to go 2, 8, 4. Then you're going to go 4, 16, 8. Then you're going to go 8, 32, 16. And you're finally going to be able to do 64.
Okay.
Like that. Okay. So you're going to finally be able to do 16, 64, and 32. Right. So here we have, so holding the left. Okay. So holding the left nostril closed and with the ring and little fingers of the right hand, one should inhale through the right nostril. Do we breathe out? Wait a minute. Okay. So first of all, let's see where we're up to here. I'm getting lost. 16 times we breathe in. Yeah. Then we hold for 64 times. Opening the right nostril. Opening the right nostril, we should exhale the air. Right? So lifting the thumb up, opening the right nostril, exhale the air used in the drying process while chanting mentally the Vayu Bija 32 times, counting on the segments of the hand. So then we do. Again, we do 32 yums. Yum, 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 yum. Okay, so then we breathe out. Then the next thing we do is we're going to now, holding the left nostril closed, we're going to breathe in through the right side. We're going to breathe in now through the right side. The first pranayama, usually when you do pranayama, you start off breathing in through the left and out through the right, holding and then out through the right. And then after you've breathed out through the right, you breathe back in through the right, hold, and then breathe out the left. That's the second pranayama. If you have to do it more times, you alternate back and forth, breathing in through the left or in through the right, and out through the left or out through the right or out through the left. Yep. So holding on. Okay, so you should next use the fire mantra, fire beach, the Vani beach or Agni beach, right? Rum, not Ram, but Rum, short A, right? 16 times, breathing in, meditating upon fire-colored seed, bija mantra, traveling to the base of one's spine, which is the Muladhara. At the bottom of your spine, right, is where your spine is. It ends, right? That is the Muladhara chakra. So you should meditate upon that. Fire beach going there. Breathe in 16 times the beach mantra Ram. Holding 64 times the beach mantra Ram, right? Meditate upon that fire now burning the Papa Purusha and one's whole body, because the Papa Purusha is sin personified, and one's body is also contaminated by the touch of the Papa Purusha or whatever it is. So the whole body gets burned up in this blaze from the Avani beach or the Agni beach. Okay. So that's during Kumbhaka. And then Rechaka, you're going to breathe out the air through the left nostril this time, right? Again, saying 32 times the Ram mantra. Yeah? Bij mantra. So then, okay, so now we're going by holding the right nostril closed, we've just breathed out the left nostril. We're going to again breathe in the inhale through the left nostril, right? And we're going to meditate upon the Chandra or the moon beach. Chandra is a way of nectarizing also. They say that Soma or Chandra, the moon, gives the flavor to the fragrance to flowers, the flavor to vegetables and things like that by his powers. Okay, so this beach is the beach. Tum, tum, tum. It's a cerebral tum, right? The tip of the tongue flips back and points to the top of the roof, and you say tum, not tum, but tum, tum, Thumb Bij. So Thumb Bij is the Chandra Bij. So breathing in 16 times the Thumb Bij. Meditate upon the Thumb Bij as being white colored. It's white, pure white, right? That nectar is pure white and is traveling to the Brahmarandra, the crown, the top of your head. And so all that nectar is going to flow down and completely cover the ashes of the body that you just burned up, right?
Right.
Okay, so now the next thing is you're going to take the Varuna Bij, which is Vam, and you're going to chant it 64 times with the Kumbhaka when you hold the nose, when you're holding your breath, right? And this is going to be, you're meditating upon that nectar flowing down like a gushing waterfall of water, you know, like that. Vam, Varuna Bij. Yeah? Meditate on washing one's whole body with the nectar from the moon. That nectar from the moon, which is deposited here in the Brahmarandra, is washing down on the whole body and purifying it. So meditate upon Prithvi, the earth Bij, right? Prithvi means earth, which is Lam. Lam is the earth Bij, right? This is breathing out. Does it say 32 times? Yeah, 32 times breathing out, right? Meditated upon it nectarizing and strengthening, because the earth is strong. So meditate upon the body's, you know, is being wet, but now is being dry and solid, you know, and lent purity by the earth, which is the consort of the Supreme Lord. In this case, we've meditated upon the Bij mantra of the earth, Lam. Okay.
Okay.
So that's breathing out again. So then now one should meditate on the elements in the body, thus having been purified by wind, fire, and having been nectarized and strengthened, being reconstituted step by step in the order of creation, So you should think about the order of creation. There are some other Buddhist studies where they think about the order of destruction first, and then they do the order of creation. And there are also different nyasas that we do called Samhara and Shristi nyasa. The first nyasa, or nyasa means touching or depositing specific mantras or bij mantras, seed mantras, prayers on different parts of the body. Okay, and it can be on the body of the deity or on your own body also, nyasa. Okay, so there are different nyasas. There's the Samhara nyasa and the Shristi nyasa. Samhara nyasa, Samhara mudra is like this, and Shristi mudra is like this. The right middle finger is the Samhara mudra, and the index finger is the Shristi mudra. According to Padma Samhita, anyway, may be different in some other places, but anyway, that's the way. So before you do that, you should show those mudras. But here we're doing Gaudiya Vaishnava Buddha Shuddhi, so it doesn't mention to do anything like that. We're going to think about not about the destruction, because we just dealt with the destruction with the wind drying, the fire burning, and the moon and Varuna, right? Soma and Varuna nectarizing, right? Okay, so and then when we do it, when you do it for a particular other object, right, instead of on your own body, right? A lot of times what they do is they say to write the Bij mantra on the palm of the hand and show it to the thing. And say, Yam Vayave Namaha Soshayami Ramagdaya Namaha Dahiyami Vamamta Namaha Plavayami. This is called Soshayana Dahana Plavana, which we cover in some other lesson when we're, you know, and then even Sum Sura Vyaya Namaha, and you offer the Surabhi Mudra after that, which is the cow's udder nectar, flowing nectar onto the thing before you offer it to the Lord, whether it be boga or whatever it is. Okay, so or lamp or whatever it is. So then perform. So we meditate upon that, the elements of the body being recreated in a pure way, from subtle to gross. And then we do the following steps, okay, for reestablishing the life airs in the body. This is called prana pratishtha. This is the same mantras that we use when we do prana pratishtha of a deity. The same, we're going to do prana pratishtha of the body. What is prana pratishtha really? It's just, the God is everywhere, but we want to link up the Atman, we want to link up the Paramatman to the nerves of the body, to the different senses of the body, to the different limbs of the body, so that they all work correctly. It's sort of like in terms like electricity, if we think of the energy being like electricity, we have a battery which we put into in the middle, right, which is the Paramatman, right, and then maybe a small battery like the Atman, and then we want to, with wires, we want to connect all the working parts of the machine to the battery. So that's what Pranapratista basically is. Okay, so Pranapratista is we're enlivening the body. We're enlivening the particular body that we're invoking, or a deity or whatever it is, like that, after having meditated upon the Lord being situated there, or in this case, the Lord and the soul being situated in our body, like that. So chanting Pranapratista mantrasya, Brahma Vishnu Rishayaha, touch the top of the head with the four fingers of the right hand. So we're going to start off by doing what's called mantra nyasa for the Pranapratista mantra that we're going to use. Prana means life airs, and there are 10 life airs, but we usually talk about only 5 of them, right? So they are prana, apana, vyana, udana, and samana, and they do different things in the body. There's also Dhananjaya, Krikara, Kurma. There's another 5. I'm blanking on a couple of them here, but there's another 5 minor life airs in the body also. So there are really 10 life airs. But anyway, these life airs do different things. So prana pratishtha. Pratishtha means simply to stand, to make something stand, to make the deity stand on the altar is pratishtha. Tishta means to stand. Tishtati means he stands in Sanskrit. Pratishtha means to stand, to make someone stand up, to make something stand up, to establish it. To establish it. So, okay, prana pratishtha means to establish the airs in the body. To establish the airs in the body. So we're going to establish the airs in the body. After recreating a pure body, we want to establish the airs in the body, make sure everything works right, connect it all up. So that's Pranapratista. So Pranapratista mantrasya Brahma Vishnu Rishayaha, we're saying the rishis of this mantra, this Pranapratista mantra, are Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra. Okay, and touch the top of the head, which is what we always do when we're doing mantra nyas. We touch the top of the head when we mention the rishis. Next, we mention the chanda, or the poetic meter in Sanskrit. For that, we touch in front of the mouth. We either touch the nose, touch the tip of the nose, or we touch in front of the nose or the mouth. Maybe if you don't want to touch those places with your hand so that you have to wash your hand again, you can just touch it in front like this. So, Rig Yajur Samani Chandagumsi Ati Chandova Chandaha. So Chandaha at the end, it says this is the meter of this, right? Ati Chando, right? Or Chandagumsi, Rig Yajur Samani Chandagumsi. Again, we use the word gum here when we have an anashwar followed by an S. So Rig Yajur Samani, mentioning the 3 Vedas. The 3 Vedas, Chandagumsi, Ati Chando, and Va means or. Ati Chando is the name of the meter, the poetic meter. We don't know exactly about this, but anyway, that's what it says in the book. So that's what we say. Okay, and we put the four fingers of the right hand here. Then we say chanting Kriya Maya Vapahu Pranakya Devata. We touch the heart with the 4 fingers like that. So middle of the chest. Yeah. Kriya Maya Vapahu Pranakya Devata. So there's a prana devata, a devata of the pranas, a goddess of the life airs. Yeah, and she is the goddess, just like Gayatri Devi is the goddess of the Gayatri mantra. The goddess of the Pranapratista mantra is Pranakya Devata, right? Whatever. Pranakya Devi, whatever it is. Chanting prana pratistarte viniyogaha. Viniyogaha means the purpose of this mantra is the prana pratista, is doing the prana pratista, getting the prana pratista done of the body. So we rotate the 2 hands inwards like this when we say what the viniyogaha is. That's the mantra nyasa. Now we're actually going to do some nyasas, right? So Om Kam Kam Gam Gam Nam, right? Am Prityav Tejo Vayavakashapane Am Hridayaya Namaha. We touch the heart with the 4 fingers of the right hand. So what does that mean? These 5 these bejas that we're saying, right, is we're saying, first of all, Om, which is a general beat, right? So you'll see these mantras all begin with Om. Then we have Kam, Kam, Gam, Gam, Nam, which are all the guttural letters of the Sanskrit alphabet. They're all coming from the throat, right? Then at the end, we say short AM, right? We're going to have Im, we're going to have we're going to have Aim, we're going to have some other ones in the other mantras. So first, then we say Pativyap Tejo Vayavakashatmani, which means earth, water, fire, air, space, or ether, right? Another bija mantra, and Hridayaya Namaha. I touch the heart with this, right? Or I offer my obeisance to the heart, right? So then we do Om, Cham, Cham, Jam, Jam, Nyam, Im, Shabdasparsha Rupa Rasa Gandhatmane, Im, Shirase Swaha, touch the top of the head. Touch the top of the head, either the middle of the head or the front of the forehead. Just with the forefingers like that. Touch the top of the head.
We should chant the mantra before touching the
once you know this is going to go very fast. So you're just going to go Om Kam Kam Gam 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 Prativyap Tejo Vayavakashatmani Am Hridayaya Namaha Om Cham Cham Jam 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 Im Shabdasparsha Rupa Rasa Gandhatmani Im Shirase Swaha Om Tam Tam Dam Dam Nam Om Shrotra Chakshur Jihva Granatmani Om Shikaya Vasate Om Tam Tam Dam Dam Nam Aim Vakpani Padapaya Pashtatmani Aim Kavachaya Hum Om Pam Pam Bam Pam Pam Bam 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 Om Vachanan Adhana Gamana Visarganandatmani Om Netratrayaya Voshate, right? And then Om Yam Ram Lam Vam Sham Sham Sam Am Lam Sham Am Mano Buddha Ahankara Chitatmane Aha Astrayapate. Right? So once you know it, you're going to do it fast. Okay? So we're just going through it, and exactly when you touch and when you say. As you touch, you say. Say the mantra and touch the place. Say the mantra and touch the place. You don't have to, I mean, we can say the mantra first and then touch the place. We just touch the place and say the mantra at the same time. Okay. It's not, there's no hard and fast rule, I don't think. It's not a big problem. Okay, so I just ran through some of it there. So we're doing the palatal letters, cham cham jam jam yam, im sabdasparsha rupa rasa gandhatmane, im sirase swaha. That is sound, touch, form, taste, smell unto the head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Om Tam Tam Dam Dam Nam Om Shrotra Tvak Chakshur Jihva Granatmane Chikaya Vasate, right? Touch the seeker with the four fingers of the right hand. So it's ears, skin, eyes, nose, tongue, nose, right? On the seeker, touch the seeker, right? Then we have Om Tam 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 Dam Dam Nam Em Vakpani Pada Payu Pashtatmane Aim Kavachaya Hum. We're going to show Kavacha Mudra. We're touching different like an armor, and it means speaking, touching, walking, excreting, and reproducing, right? Kavachaya Hum. Then we have this is a typical saranganyas. This is places, and then we have the touching the eyes. Now sometimes you touch 2 eyes, and sometimes you touch 3 eyes, right? So if we say that's with the dental. Now we're going to the palatal. The labial on the lips. Pam 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 pam. Om vachanadana gamana visarganandatmane Aum Netratrayaya Voshate. Touch the 3 eyes. What are the 3 eyes? The 3 eyes are these 2 eyes, and the 3rd eye is between the 2 eyes on the forehead, like that. So if you say Netratrayaya, which is what they put here in Hari Bhakti Vilas, then you have to touch 3 eyes. If you're worshipping a deity and you're doing this for a deity that has only 2 eyes, usually the Ugra deities, the angry deities, will have 3 eyes, like Durga or Narasimha, or
Yes, I was reading today in Bhagavatam that Prabhupada describes Narasimhadev as a deity with 3 eyes, but why? I don't understand. I never saw a deity of Narasimhadev with 3 eyes.
In Vrindavan, right near Radha Vallabha, there's a deity of Narasimha with 3 eyes. Common. So okay, so the thing is, there sometimes Shiva shows 3 eyes, sometimes Durga shows 3 eyes, Narasimha shows 3 eyes. There are other, in Pancharatra it's described that there's different types of deities. So one deity, you have a Bhoga deity, for instance, might look a little fatter, and that deity is in a temple which is in the middle of a big population of people in a city, and gets fed a lot of prasadam, so he looks a little fatter. He's been made, they carved him a little fatter. Then you have a yoga deity which looks a little thinner, like he's been fasting, and he's in a temple which is in a cave or outside the city in a forest, and very few people go there, and they don't offer much bhoga. So they've made the deity to look emaciated, a little bit skinny. Right? It's called a yoga deity. Then you have a Dikpal deity, Dikpati deity, a deity that sits in a temple that faces the border of a country, like there's an enemy country or a foreign country, right? And there's other people who live in that country, and you have the deity sits there and protects the country. So if there's a protection deity, just like when we go to the temples, we see Jaya Vijaya, they're protecting Vishnu. If you go to a Shiva temple, you see the doorkeepers are also protecting Shiva, and you have, for Durga, you have female security guards protecting her. So these are all called Dwarapalakas, Dikpati deities. And you might even have a deity of Narasimha that they put in a certain place to ward off enemies and something like that. The Dikpati deity. Another deity is an Ugra deity. An Ugra deity, Ugra deity might be like Narasimha or like Durga or Shiva or like that, which might have 3 eyes. Maybe even a type of Krishna deity, because there's a Krishna. These different categories of deities, there's a deity which has to do with the destruction, which appears of Krishna, which appears at the destruction of the universe. There are different levels of destruction, There's big pralaya, Mahapralaya, and then there's where even Brahma gets wiped out. And then there's other pralayas or other destructions in the day of Brahma. Every day of Brahma, there's a minor destruction of certain parts of the universe, but not Satyaloka where he lives. So at that time, when there's a Mahapralaya, I believe that there's a banyan leaf, and the Lord appears as a baby Krishna lying on a banyan leaf. So people who have the deity of baby Krishna with a banyan leaf, maybe I have never seen maybe whether it had 3 eyes or not, but he's considered to be an Ugra deity, that baby Krishna, because he appears at the destruction of the universe, at the time of destruction of the universe. So he's considered to be Ugra. But obviously, none of these personalities are Ugra. Narasimha is not really Ugra. We say he's Ugra. Well, what does that mean? He lost his temper? No, he is. He has rightful rage and anger. His anger is righteous. Towards the demons. Right? The Lord says, "I destroy the demons." Pritranaya sadhanam vinashaya. I destroy chaduskritam, the demons. So he destroys them. He looks like he's angry, but he's actually in complete control, like that. But the deities, when they're in that situation of doing the leela of destroying, they may manifest a 3rd eye, like Shiva or like Durga, like that. So if we're worshipping a particular deity like that, an Ugra deity, we might do the nyasa of the 3rd eye on the deity and also on ourselves, maybe, right? Because we want to associate ourselves with the Lord, right? Just like in Raganuga Bhakti, people say, "Oh, I want to be a gopi to serve Krishna and Radha," like that. So we wouldn't meditate upon ourselves as being Vanaras, as being members of the monkey army of Lord Ramachandra, and then think of worshipping Krishna, right? But if we're worshipping Rama, we would think of ourselves as being bears and monkeys, and helping Rama to destroy, Ravana. So it depends on who you're worshiping, what deity you're worshiping, what mood you're in, or like that. Especially in Raganuga Bhakti, but here also in Vaidhi Bhakti, there's some aspects of Vaidhi Bhakti which have to do with the deity that you're worshiping. It may be different. But similarly, we talked about the different nyasas, right? There are different nyasas. So we have the Samhara nyas, Shrishti nyas, and Samhara. There's creation, maintenance, and destruction. Samhara is destruction. Wait a minute. Shristi is creation. Shristi is creation. Then Shristi, Samhara, and there's another one for just maintenance. So in this book, Communication with God, it talks about people doing worship with the Gopal mantra. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas doing worship with the Gopal mantra and doing different nyasas. And it will say that brahmacharis do one type of nyasa, and sannyasis do another type, and grahastas do another type. So maybe brahmacharis do the creation Shristi nyasa, and the grihastas do the maintenance nyasa, and the sannyasis do the destruction nyasa, because they're at the end of their lives, something like that. There's some reason. There's some reasons like that. So it's not the same for everybody. Everybody doesn't follow the same prayoga, right? In different sections of the varnas and ashramas or whatever, they might do differently. Okay, so we're getting to the end here. We've got Om. What is it? We did the eyes, right? The two eyes of three eyes, right? Netra trayaya, or net. If it's two eyes, you have to say netrabhyam, which means two eyes. Netra trayaya means three eyes. Okay. So coming to step 23, chanting Om Yam Ram Lam Vam Sham Sham Sam Ham Lam Sham Am Mano Buddhi Amaro Buddhya Hankarat Chitatmane Chitamatmane Aha Astraya Pate. Slap the left palm with the index finger and middle finger of the right hand 3 times, and snap the fingers of the right hand repeatedly while encircling the head clockwise. Right? Okay, now recite the following mantras, bringing the 4 fingers of the right hand near the body, the parts of the body mentioned. Okay, so that was basically, we did that Anganyasa there. Sadanganyasa it's called sometimes, because there's 6 steps to it. So now we do, we say Om Am.
Yeah. Sorry, one question.
Sure.
Here in the last part of the 23 verse, there is one mantra in the beginning, and in the last part is another mantra. We should recite this mantra while we.
No. I put every one of these steps. I put in brackets the translation. Om Yam Ram Lam Vam Sham 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 Sam Am Sham Am. Mind, intellect, ego, and consciousness. As a weapon.
Okay.
That's the translation of this one. Om Yam Ram, like that. Astraya, but Astraya means weapon.
Okay.
But yeah, this. You'll see all of them. All of them have this part in brackets at the end. Here in brackets doesn't mean optional. It just means approximate translation of the word, so you understand approximately what it means.
Yeah. Okay.
We can't exactly. Some of these mantras like Swaha, Namaha, Pat, Hum, Vausat, Vasate. Some of these mantras are very difficult to translate. They're used in mantra shastra, but they're difficult to translate. Namaha we can translate. Namaha means na means not, ma means me, not me. It means obeisances to you. Namaha. Oh. Yeah. Swaha is one of the wives of Agni, right? The fire god. We approach Agni through Swaha. Right? The other wife is called Svada. So Svada and Swaha are 2 wives of Agni. Yeah. So Swaha, when we say Swaha, we offer to the fire. So we go through the wife of Agni to the fire, like that. Okay, so Swaha. Pat is a, you can translate it as crack or something, like that. It's a weapon mantra, It goes with Astraya. Word Astra means weapon. Okay, so now we have some other Volshat and Vasate. These are they're practically untranslatable, but they're endings that go on mantras like that. Now in Mantra Shastra, if you study Mantra Shastra, there's some things about mantras. Mantras have gender. So a mantra that ends in Namaha is considered to be neuter in gender. A mantra that ends in Swaha is considered to be feminine in gender. So there's some things about mantras according to these the words that they end in. Sometimes these words are used in the middle of a mantra too. Like for instance, the Sudoshana mantra, Saranchara Mala mantra. A Mala mantra is a mantra, like the Bij mantra is 1 syllable long. And then other mantras tell you the number of syllables. There's 8 Astakshara, 8 syllable, Sarakshara, 6 syllable, Panchakshara, 5 syllable, Dwadasakshara, 12 syllable, Astadasakshara, 18 syllable. These are all different types of different mantras. Then we have, so it'll tell you the number of syllables and the deity. So, Astadasakshara Gopal mantra, or the Dasakshara Gopal mantra. There's the 10 syllable Gopal mantra. There's the 18 syllable Gopal mantra, so that we know which is what we're talking about. Then there are longer mantras, and there's Gayatri mantras, which are made up of Gayatri meter, which is 3 times 8 syllables, 24 syllables. Then we have, for instance, longer, even longer mantras, which might be 108 syllables or 1,008 syllables. These are called Mala mantras. Mala, because a mala has 108 beads, so a mantra with 108 syllables will be called a Mala mantra. So this Sudarshana Mala mantra has got Klim Krishnaya, Govindaya, Gopijana Vallabhaya, Paraya, Param Purushaya, Paramatmane, Parakala, Mantri, Yantra Tantra, O Sudashtrastani, Samhana, Samhana, Mittu, Moche, Moche, Om Namo Bhagavate, Mahasudarshana, Te Jwala Paritaya, Savarik Shobha, Paraya, Kumpat Brahmani, Paramajyotishe Swaha. Okay, so it's a very long mantra. So sometimes we get in the middle of those mantras, we get some of these ending, these funny little words that end the mantras. So we get hum, fat. So you find sometimes in Narasimha mantras, hum, fat, like that, in the middle of the mantra, like that. So it doesn't always come at the end, but mostly they come at the end. And when we do Saranganyasa, touching the 6 parts of the body, we use these endings on the mantras. Right? And it's always Namaha, Swaha, Vasate, Voshate, Pat, like that, Okay, so anyway, that's, if you study Mantra Shastra, you understand more about how a mantra is made up and what different bija mantras and different endings of mantras are needed for different mantras. So it's all part of mantra, the science of mantras. Anyway, we've finished this part of the Saranganyasa. Now the six limbs of the body touching, and now we're going to just do these different ones here, right? And so they're also going to be according to different parts of the body. Arm, navel to feet. So you're touching near these things. Remember, don't touch the feet. Touch near the feet. So navel, take your hands and go from your navel to your feet. So Om Hrim, heart to navel. Om Hram, head to heart. Om Yam Tvagatmane Namaha. Right? Touch the heart. Om Ram Ashigatmane Namaha, touch the right side. Om Lam Mamsatmane Namaha, touch the flesh, means your skin, right? All over. Om Medatmane Namaha, touch the fat, which is under the skin, I guess. Om Sham Astyatmane Namaha, touch the heart. Om Sam Majatmane Namaha, again touch the heart. Think of the bone and the marrow, which is inside the bone. Om Sham Shukratmane Namaha, heart to the right foot, right? Meditating on the Shukra, which is semen, right? Om Ham Pranatmane Namaha, heart to the left foot, thinking of the life heirs. Lam Jivatmane Namaha, heart to navel, thinking of the individual self, the Jiva. Om Ksham Paramatmane Namaha, heart to the head, and think about the Paramatma, the Supreme Soul. And then you chant this mantra, which is the meditation on Prana Devi, right? Raktam Bodhishta, Hato Lasad Aruna, Sarojadi Ruda Karabjai, Pasham Kodanda Ikshud Bhava, Maliganam, Apyang Kusham Panchabhanan, Bibrana Shrik Kapalam, Trinayanam Lalita, Pina Vakshor, Uhadya, Devi Bala Kavarna, Bhavatu Sukha, Kari Prana Shakti Paranaha. And the translation is there. It's about Prana Shakti Devi, like that. And then you have to chant these. Then you have to chant these other things where you install the pranas, the different pranas. So you say Om Am Hrim Krom, Yam Ram Lam Lam Vam Sham 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 Sam Ham Laksh Lam Sham Om Ham Saha Mama Prana Iha Prana, my pranas. Then Om Am Hrim Krom, Yam Ram Lam Vam Sham Sham Sam Ham lam, sham, om, hum, sa, saha, mama, jiva iti stitaha, establish the jiva in the heart, right? Om, am, hrim, krom, yam, ram, lam, vam, sham, 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 hum, lam, sham, om, hum, saha, sa, mama, sarvendriyani, all my senses. Om, am, hrim, krom, yam, ram, lam, vam, ha, sham, 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 hum, lam, sham, om, hum, saha, mama, van, manas, tvak, chakshur, shrotra, grana, prana, pranaha, ihantu, swastaye, chiram, sukena, tishtantu, swaha, and the explanation is there. Speech, mind, touch, sight, hearing, smelling, and life airs. May they come here for my prosperity and happily remain here for a long time. Then, right, see, then you've created the body and you've done the pran pratishtha of the body. You've put the super soul and the soul back in the body. Then the new body has to have the samskaras done to it to completely finish the transformation and make it completely pure. So we have to do the meditating upon the 16 samskaras, birth, etc. Right, like from Jatakarma to Antyeshti, we have to do, right, recite Om 16 times. So we say Om 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 for the 16 samskaras. Was that 16? Yeah. And then having established the Atman and the Paramatman again within the purified lotus of the heart, then we can think of this, the Paramatma and the Atma coming back and down and situated in the middle of the heart. Then we can continue, we can go on and we can do our puja. Yeah. And I think I've made some other forms of it which are a little bit easier. Okay, so it's basically Buddha Shuddhi.
Okay, how long can take to perform this Bhuta Suddhi?
I think if you know it probably takes a couple of minutes. Right? Okay. Why would it take more than 5 minutes? You know?
Yeah.
If you know the mantras, it should take you 1 minute, 2 minutes.
Yeah, the question is to learn all the mantras.
Yeah, that's the point. Not just the mantras, but the meditation on what each mantra means.
Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo